So it's Friday, May 13th. I clearly had other plans. I was going to talk about Friday the 13th, the final chapter, the fourth one. You know, the one that's really fucking good. That's Crispin Glover, like, dancing in it. It was going to be a good talk, a really good video. But I went and got myself obsessed with the Dark Castle films of the 2000s. And instead, I'm going to be talking about this fucking movie today. Do you even remember it? Probably not. Who is this video for? Zach, who the fuck are you making videos for? You need to ask yourself these questions before you publish the fucking video. Look, this film isn't great, but it's not altogether terrible. There's some good things about it. It devolves very quickly into schlock, but there is still something really gratifying about seeing God comets fucking wipe out, blast away every fucking firstborn in a satanic cult at the end of the movie. There's something really rewarding in that. There are some scary elements in here. I don't like locusts. Locusts freak me out, so that entire sequence was real creepy for me. The film The Reaping is about the 10 biblical plagues recurring, coming back. On this channel, I speak often about what we call the return over here. The 90s was a postmodern time of deconstruction where they ridiculed, humiliated, and ultimately destroyed the horror genre. And the return is what came from its ruins, was rebuilding the horror genre by returning to 70s exploitation and a familiar iconography. And The Reaping is a 2007 Dark Castle film. Dark Castle is a company I've grown to fucking love. House on Haunted Hill over there is one of my favorite horror films of all time. Ghost Ship is another Dark Castle film that is very, very close to my heart. I think Ghost Ship is delightful. I loved Orphan. I loved 13 Ghosts. Gothica is awesome too. The Reaping. Oh boy. Oh, okay. All right. Let's do this, I guess. The Reaping is Dark Castle taking a stab at Southern Gothic. And I'm not the sort of YouTuber who hyperfixates on every problem in a movie. I'm not here to humiliate films. Um, I'm not here to tell you everything that's wrong with The Reaping. This would be an extremely long video. I'm not that sort of YouTuber, and this is not that kind of video. Let's see if there's something deeper to analyze about The Reaping. Let's see if there's a deeper layer to The Reaping. And of course, there is. The Dark Castle films may seem vapid, but they're never truly empty of substance. They always have substance to them. You just have to turn on that little light in your head and really interact and engage with the film that you're watching. In The Reaping, this girl right here, played by Anna Sophia Robb, who was a Violet Beauregarde in Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, actually. This girl right here is the perfect reaping, the second born. In this film, a satanic cult out of Louisiana is sacrificing all of the second born. She is the perfect reaping, the second born child with the eyes of Satan. Now, those of you who know how I like to frame my analysis videos of Dark Castle works should already be prepared for where I'm going with this. As I've said earlier, the 2000s, this was the decade of the return, of horror's double, of horror's second born. The perfect reaping, right? And what ultimately does every generation, every era of horror have to go through? It has to go through a sacrifice. It has to be put down. It has to be executed, mostly while it's still in its infancy. The reaping is the perfect second born. the offspring of the 70s classics. It's about reaping what you sow as a genre and knowing that those who've participated in the return are complicit in the brutality that has come to define and characterize this era of horror. They've grouped together in a cult-like fashion and have reaped the perfect second born. And this film, for almost its entire length, is dedicated to exploring this metaphor of genre to a point that goes beyond schlock, that goes beyond absurd, and could arguably expose the superficiality of horror purists, of horror purism, of horror itself, of the very concept of a lineage within demonic horror. So the film is a bit irresponsible in the way you'd expect a 2000s horror film to be. Its representations of certain cultures are tasteless. Its infatuation with spirituality is one of the most shallow ones I have seen in recent memory. But I don't think you go to Dark Castle films for that sort of nuance. I'm not here for a theology discussion, but I'm also not here to roll my eyes nonstop, dude. Like this film is fucking it's a lot. It's a lot. It really can test your patience. But there is some good to it. There is some good to it. Hilary Swank's performance, I think, is really good. I very much so enjoyed her in this film. A strong, heroic character of some hidden and tangible, tender complexity. Hilary Swank is just a very good actor, and she was beautiful here as well. And it has not escaped me, okay, this weird thread that has happened in my last three videos, right? Starting with session 9, my analysis video for session 9. A very good film, by the way, unlike this one, but session 9 featuring Brendan Sexton III, and then Orphan, also a brilliant film by Dark Castle. I did Orphan after session 9, starring Peter Sarsgaard, and now I'm doing The Reaping, starring Hilary Swank. I am one Chloe Sevigny away from a full Boys Don't Cry bingo. Like, I might do Last Days of Disco next, just so I can, like, mark it off. Don't, no, I won't. I'll edit that out. I'll do it eventually, though. Kate Beckinsale is calling to me. But she did a Dark Castle film as well, so I don't even have to do Last Days of Disco, ever. Wow, okay. Welcome to the way my brain works. Idris Elba is in this film primarily as comic relief, but he's damn effective at it. He's damn funny. He's very good in this role. He made me laugh genuinely quite a few times, just in how much his character seems to be hating the situations he finds himself in. But Idris Elba is also a super gifted actor, so you give him anything, and he seems to elevate the material and the character to a level that feels really layered. He creates a character here, I think, in spite of the screenplay itself, that you can actually feel and that you want to know more, and that might speak more to Elba's charisma and personality and characterization more than the actual composition or writing itself. And David Morrissey, the love interest and villain, and you can see that coming from like 10 miles away. You can see it coming just by looking at like the starring list or just looking at a picture of him. You're like, dude, this dude, if he's not the villain and just supposed to be some sexy fucking piece of shit moron, he's not likable. He's not likable at all, not even for a second. I don't like him as the villain either. He's not compelling. I just watched the movie and I already forget what he looked like, what he did, what he said. I'm 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 only half kidding. It's a very forgettable villain from a studio that did some pretty unforgettable things with its casting, with the twists and turns that its roller coaster thrill rides of films would take. Stephen Rea is a truly missed opportunity here. It's a treat, getting the brief amount of time that we do get with Stephen Rea. Fucking must have been hard for him. He was acting by himself. He was always on the phone, alone in a room. He was acting against like a brick fucking wall, dude. Stephen Rea is really talented and a really good actor, and not enough directors have really used him correctly. Neil Jordan probably is the only one who ever has. There's a lot of depth to him that I don't think has ever been truly explored uh, by any of the films he's appeared in outside of Interview with the Vampire and possibly The Crying Game, although I'm not really a fan of that second one. Interview with the Vampire, though, he's in that film for a brief amount of time too, but oh my God, he's amazing in it, isn't he? And the reaping, while he's memorable, it's just a wasted opportunity. I would love to have seen Hilary Swank, Idris Elba, and Stephen Rea actually act together within the scene, or even just to see Hilary Swank and Stephen Rea together in the same frame. I think that those are two actors who can match each other's skill level, but we never really did get to see that. But I mean, nonetheless, I did get a little bit of Stephen Rea in here, and he was great. He was great. I just wish I got more of him under different circumstances, honestly. The Reaping was directed by Stephen Hopkins, and I wouldn't say it was directed like poorly. I would just say that the film is like a poor film. Because, dude, it goes to schlock like so quick, so fast. And the thing that's so upsetting about devolving to schlock is that the reaping doesn't even betray its tone to get there, and then you realize that you've been duped. You've been watching schlock since the very beginning. It didn't have to jump through a hoop to get to absurdity. It was already absurd from the get-go, and you're like, oh, fuck. All right. Uh, Fucking hell. And it's not all fun to watch. It's not like fun schlock. There are moments of fun schlock, like I mentioned the fiery comets, the fiery comet balls just blasting away, like nuking these fucking firstborns. It's pretty exciting, and the locust scene is lovely. And parts with the little girl are genuinely intriguing on a visual level, on a compositional level. So that's why I wouldn't say that Stephen Hopkins was a poor director. I think he clearly understood and demonstrated that he understood how to make engaging and, dare I say, nearly sophisticated compositional decisions when it came to the little girl and some of the more esoteric parts before the 1 hour mark that featured her and Hilary Swank's curiosity to the mystery surrounding her. There was some very good compositional methods being used to kind of explore, express, amplify the mystery surrounding this seemingly demonic little girl. That was cool. That was good. It's just that The Reaping is just simply not a good film. I think its largest problem is the screenplay, but it's hard for me to really just pinpoint one. I don't normally do this on the channel. I don't really like talk about or extensively or exhaustively talk about movies I didn't like and why they weren't good. And also, I don't think I didn't like The Reaping. I think I will watch it like a few more times in my life if I live a long one. Parts of it were good. You know, there is good to this film. And I do think that there is that interiority that I covered earlier about its commentary, about its own genre, its place within its genre, and its genre's momentum. The place where it was at in its evolution, which seems to be a sacrificial one, where it would have to turn in on itself. You know, it would have to start infighting. It would have to sacrifice itself to give birth to the perfect reaping, to the perfect form, the purest form of horror, possibly. I think Dark Castle makes some incredible films. I think they make entirely accessible films. They're really digestible pieces of media. But I think that they all have this interiority, this complicated subtext to them that has been long ignored. And while I didn't like the movie, I don't think it deserves its 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a fucking joke and a half. It's fine. Well, it's not fine. It's not good, but there is good within it. And to completely blow off a movie, erase it from history, act like it never existed without ever truly interacting with or understanding it at all is, I think, such an arrogant thing for film criticism to do as a whole. There's a lot of things about The Reaping that even I haven't covered here. I would personally love to see something more in depth about The Reaping or about some of man, I would just love to find other people out there who agree with me that Dark Castle films are absolutely fascinating. They are fascinating films that can absolutely be masterful, as in the case of House on Haunted Hill, Ghost Ship, and Orphan, absolutely be masterful. Dark Castle can also absolutely be schlocky. That's fine. Like we would like I want variety in my studio films. I want variety, sure. I want a bunch of it. I want everything, you know? I love Dark Castle films, and being able to talk about The Reaping was a pleasure with you. You know, I know I made jokes earlier about the Friday the 13th missed opportunity, but I really just loved talking about The Reaping, getting a chance to. Especially like films like these deserve to be investigated because they are clearly saying something that hasn't been translated properly by contemporary critics. And that's why I'm here to fucking fucking save film criticism. How delusional can I be? No, Dark Castle films are wonderful, and I really think are worth investigating because I enjoy them a lot, and I really like the themes that I believe they explore and express. I have been your cult boyfriend. Thank you for watching my video about The Reaping. Have a safe Friday the 13th. I will be staying in tonight. A bit superstitious, you know? I at least feel like if I were to die on Friday the 13th and it said it in my obituary, someone would be like, oh, well, obviously. That's clearly, you know? Saturday the 14th, though, that's you can die tragically on that day. I'm your cult boyfriend, and I have clearly run out of things to say.